Hello and welcome to the Josh Astrop podcast, episode number 120. Thank you for downloading the podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe. If you want to listen to the podcast but don't use iTunes or Apple products, you can find it on Acast and Stitcher as well. Also, every episode now is on YouTube, so you can watch as well as listen. You can find us on social media across all platforms. Just look for the Josh Astrop podcast. Same name across everything. Facebook, Twitter. Not Twitter. We're not on Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, Acast, Stitcher, and all the rest of it. It's all there. Also, I wanted to reiterate that the episode is not edited. So that was and it still is something very important. I think I wanted this podcast to be real, as real as possible. So if you're listening or watching, you might as well be sat in while we're talking, because there's no visual effects on the YouTube version other than different colours and whatever to try and make the quality, or to try and improve the quality. But audio, I clip the start and the end of the podcast and then keep it all the same in the middle. So ums and ahs and swearing as well. It's a conscious decision to include swearing on the podcast. Not that we swear a lot at all, to be honest, but I didn't want to censor it in any way, which in reality probably costs me money, because that drastically reduces the amount of people that will advertise. And for a lot of services like YouTube, who just stick on ads to videos without necessarily checking the content, as soon as you mark it as explicit, that removes the ability to make any money from ads. So it's a conscious decision that has cost me financially, I think, or reduced the financial potential of the podcast when it comes to YouTube. But I thought what we lost in revenue gained in integrity. So it is real, it's honest, it's a conversation as it happens, without any filtering or censoring or any falseness or anything like that. So yeah, it is unedited. So hopefully you like that. That's the way that they're the podcasts that I listen to, the ones that are just straightforward conversations. That's I wanted to make that clear. Obviously, some people they do not care about that at all. It does not matter. But I thought that was significant to me, so I thought it was worth explaining. Anyway, that's enough about that. This week's guest is Charlotte Carpenter. I've had Charlotte on the podcast before, back in October 2016. I cannot remember what episode number it was, but if you just search for the Josh Astrop podcast, Charlotte Carpenter, although the podcast back then was called the Audio Works podcast, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. How about that? So it's been interesting again to talk to her, much like we did with Billy last week, and to see what they've been up to and where they've come from and what's going on at the moment. Charlotte is a fascinating person. I love talking to Charlotte. She's clearly an excellent guitarist, singer, songwriter, performer. Her career so far and the venues and tours that she's done are a testament to that. I've bought her music. I don't buy a lot of music, in all honesty. I don't listen to the radio. I don't read magazines or newspapers. So I don't really know what's out and what's being released and what latest album is. The only time I do hear about music, other than bands that I know and artists that I know, people will mention it in passing. Oh, have you heard so-and-so's album? I didn't realise it. Maybe I'll buy it. But yeah, so I don't buy a lot of music. But I'll make a point of buying Charlotte's because it's so good. And when you know the time, the effort, the frustration, the emotion that goes in to making this music, to not only being honest to write the music and then obviously paying for recording and yeah, I mean, it's the value of those songs is significantly more than the pounds that you're going to pay for them. So yeah, I'll put a link to Charlotte's website and whatnot in the show notes. So if you want to share the love, help her out, and get yourself some awesome music in the process, then head on over there. Let's get on with it. Yeah, fantastic talk this week with Charlotte, and we talk about her single coming out next week, 6th of June. I'll put a link to that. You can join in on the lottery, which she will explain in the episode. But yeah, let's get into it. This is the Josh Astrop podcast, episode number 120 with Charlotte Carpenter.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I think that'll work like that.
Okay.
But how are you?
Good. Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me in.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It's been interesting seeing what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Is it October 2016 was when you last came in?
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's gone quickly.
18 months, or just over 18 months.
Oh wow. What release was that with? October.
I don't know.
Well, that might have been How We Ever to Know. Can't remember.
Can I just...
Yeah, you can, yeah. Joe, I'm trying to think what I was releasing back then. It was something.
Yeah, it's always something.
It's always something.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Maybe Fire? No, that came out a bit later.
Yeah.
It was like, I think, yeah, in between How We Ever to Know and Fire, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, October, so that's 18, 19 months, something like that.
Jesus Christ, these years are just going past me.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now, right now, talking to you now, it feels like it was last week.
Yeah, exactly. It does. But I think that's always like the nice thing about that, though. When you come across that with certain people, you just think, oh, this is cool, you know. This is great.
I know what you mean, yeah. Some people, you like good friends sort of thing. It doesn't matter if you haven't seen each other for a year.
No, yeah. They're my favourite friends. I've got to admit. They're my absolute favourite friends.
You don't need to get up to speed.
Like, constantly there for each other, always at the end of the phone, but we're also very realistic that, you know, they've got their lives and I've got mine, and most of my best friends, good friends, don't even live anywhere near me, so there's always that sense of, okay, see you in a couple of months or whatever. Or some friends I haven't seen for years, and it does break my heart, but yeah.
That's life, isn't it?
Yeah. I find myself saying that a lot these days.
Yeah.
That's life, yeah.
That's it. Is it genuine, or is it an excuse? I think because sometimes, even friends that I've got that live within 2 miles of me, weeks go by and you don't see each other, and you've both got jobs and families and whatever going on, but then you work away a lot, or you are away a lot. Yeah. So that's an extra layer of sort of difficulty.
It is. I think like my most treasured friends completely know like what I'm up against.
And it's been a while now, hasn't it? It's not like this is a new thing.
No, yeah, they completely are aware of like it's really weird because you go through like 6 months of never being available, then all of a sudden you've got this 2-3 month period of not having anything to do, you know, and that's... And it's weird to like sometimes get your head into that mindset. Like you come off tour from wherever you've been, which feels like relentless, and also working between, and then you're like, I see, I'm just okay. I've got 2 months of nothing. What should I do? And then you have to like, push yourself to kind of not do anything at the same time. You know. Yeah,
you got to relax.
Yeah.
It's okay to be lazy. Although it's not really lazy.
It's just okay to just like be content
Yeah.
with like the day to day and give your everything a rest.
Yeah, that's it. You do need to switch off. Maybe in your line of work, when you're performing stuff that you've written that means a lot to you, probably emotionally.
Yeah.
You need that more because you're. I wonder is. Because you're more in touch with your emotion, I would imagine you're more in touch with your emotions because you're writing about them and you're exploring them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, myself included, don't.
Right, yeah.
Try not to think about my emotions.
Yeah.
Does that make it easier or harder? Is it more of a psychological stress that you're working these emotions out?
Yeah, I think it absolutely is. And it's because you are so emotionally attached to the project from so many angles.
Yeah.
So you've got the emotion of you writing the song.
Yeah.
You've got the emotion of you recording the song. Then you've got the emotion of you figuring out how the hell to market that song and then touring it. And then, you know, also being a friend and being a sister and being a daughter and being a girlfriend. And I actually feel those pressures more than ever. Now I'm getting a bit older.
Okay.
So I'm a bit more aware that, okay, like my life is to, you know, do the CC stuff. Like I love that. It makes me so happy. But I also have to be very aware that as a woman going into kind of your late 20s, you have so much responsibility. And sometimes I'm cool with that. Sometimes I can walk around that balance and not want to play it perfectly. And other times I'm just like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
No, I just want to be a girlfriend this week.
Yeah.
Or I just, you know, that kind of thing. And finding that balance is really difficult. And especially because everything's just so emotionally charged all the time.
Yeah.
I have to just like give myself some headspace or, you know, just say, okay, you've reached your limit now, Charlotte. You know, like go and de-emotion yourself if that's possible.
Well, that's it. The reason that I asked that is it makes you think of when you said you're away for a while and then you're back doing nothing or not a lot for a while and you have to learn how to do that. I think that is being a musician in a nutshell, whether it's day to day, going up on stage, and then everything else during the day might seem a little sedate.
Yeah.
And then so that's just day to day, and let alone when you're away on tour and then you're back and you're not performing at all.
Yeah.
So you don't have that high for a long time, probably.
No, you don't. You don't. No. I did a tour only for 2 weeks in March and April across Europe. And that was kind of, for me, one of the things I've just always wanted to do, especially as when I learned to drive. And everyone kept saying to me, people in Germany are really going to love you, you should go do it. And like people say these things to you all the time. But then the reality of actually having to sit down and book a German tour is really stressful. Like it took me 5 months to book 10 shows. And at so many points through that 5-month process, I was just like, this is not going to happen. I've got 2 shows, one at this end of the country, one at that end of the country. You know, I can't make it work. And it was just so stressful. But when it happened, I was like, this is amazing. And I was living this 2-week existence thinking like I was a rock star and this is brilliant. I'm meeting new people. I'm playing in places that I've never heard of, never seen, never knew existed. And I was continually faced with amazing people and amazing venues throughout the whole experience. And I was on such a high, and maybe about 7 or 8 days in, I thought to myself, I can just keep going. Like, that's it. I could just, if someone emailed me tomorrow and said, we've got another month for you in Germany, how do you feel? I'd be like, yes, go. And so when I got back from that tour, I was tired because I was driving and playing it all, but there was that feeling of, do you know what? I'm not that comfortable with being back home. Yeah. Like, I think I still want to go out and do it. And my mum is really great at kind of like keeping me grounded and keeping me like healthy. And she just says like, you've worked really hard these 2 weeks, give yourself a night off, or like, don't overdo it, don't overwork yourself. And I feel really grateful to like have her in my life saying that to me. And she makes me feel less guilty about, you know, just having a big old Netflix binge and stuff. But yeah, the adjustment between those two lifestyles is crazy, because, you know, you're playing to like, it wasn't even a lot of people, but it was like 50 people in Dortmund who didn't know me at all. And I'd never been to Dortmund. So I was like, this is great. I love it. And then, you know, 2 days later, you're waking up at 6:30 in the morning to go make lattes. And it's like, that on its own is like, oh God. But
yeah, it's strange. I'd imagine it's funny. Sort of related, but maybe not. Maybe tenuous link. I was talking to some friends yesterday about when I used to be into football when I was a kid. I used to go and see the Cobblers and Northampton Town Football Club, and a lot of the players that were playing then, they were probably, I don't know, 20 odd or something. Now they're 40, and you know, some of them are working in local hardware stores. Some of them are delivery drivers, and it's like I couldn't get my head around that, and I still can't quite. But I mean, that's just it's probably very similar to being a musician.
It's just life. That's what I say.
Yeah, yeah. It is.
You're totally right.
What are you going to do? You're going to be unemployed for the rest of your life.
I know. But are you like going to struggle for cash? Like everyone who's doing music knows there's not that much money to be made right now. Yeah. You know, not enough to stop working anyway. Yeah. You know, I had someone on Twitter yesterday. I was moaning about having to go into work the other day at like 5:30 in the morning because there was some random like carnival on. So I was making coffee for people at like 6 a.m. in Rothwell. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is just not what I want to be doing. And he just replied like, I didn't even realise you still worked. I was like, well, a lot of us do. Yeah. You know, that's the reality of it.
Yeah, I'd imagine not many people can afford not to.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
I think it makes us sound a little bit morbid, but then you also have to be realistic, I think, at the same time. It's like, well, if I didn't have that coffee shop for those 3 days a week, I would be actually really struggling.
Yeah. It feels strange. I have a feeling of, I don't know what it is, but I don't like talking about money and music. I feel like there's people that the people are going to listen, or anyone that hears me say that will be like, well, it's about the music, man. You know, it's art. It's not about paying your bills. Yeah. But then I think, well, on the other hand, you know, if you want to be able to do something you enjoy, whether that's being a musician or building your own car, to fuel these things, you need to be generating money.
You do.
Because they don't generate money in themselves or enough.
I think the most important way of looking at it is that you shouldn't be putting pressure on your art to be your sole income. Right. Because that's when it all gets a bit messed up. Yeah. I think if you can like sustain your life and also do what you love and have time for what you love, then you've got that balance. I mean, the next step up would be to completely tour all of the time. You know, that's what I want to do. It's what everyone wants to do. But again, you know, there's the people you need to know for that, and the timing of everything you need to. Yeah. All that rubbish that people say to you that, you know, it's who you know, it's who you meet, and it's like for years and years I've not been wanting that to be the case. You know. Yeah. And then slowly I'm like, no, maybe I do need someone to just help me out a bit. Yeah. You
need professionals in their field, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
You can, and evidently you can do it all yourself.
You can, absolutely.
Maybe on a short term.
It's possible, yeah.
But if you want to tour permanently, or you want to do bigger venues, or you want to bring a sound person with you, or whatever it is, you know,
they all cost money.
Yeah, well, that's the same problem I have with this podcast. You know, because I do everything myself. Yeah, I'm not the best audio editor. I'm not the best video editor. I'm maybe even not the best podcast host. But
come on, this is pretty cool.
Thank you. but like photography, you know, taking pictures, I'll take it on my phone. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to have a crew and everything in a studio? And yeah, it would be. But I don't have, you know, £100,000 to film a series of podcasts.
You do. Like, it's the same conversation with like obviously a lot of people aren't completely aware, like people that aren't in the music industry aren't aware of how much money you need for it all.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will say to me stuff like, you know, you should send your music to Radio 2. I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I should. And I have.
Yeah.
Relentlessly for the past 5 years, you know. And there's been some instances where I've been fortunate enough to get a radio plugger for a release or two.
Right.
But they are so expensive.
Right.
And they're just like the biggest gamble. And I tried that a couple of times and got some success. I got like Dermot on Radio 2, and I got a loads of support from Edith Bowman at Virgin. But, you know, it's a really, the pace that it's moving at, it's so rapid that those DJs leave those stations, and that's it. That's your link gone from those stations. And it's a really, really weird place, and people just don't expect that people have to pay thousands and thousands of pounds for this. And there are obviously sometimes you can meet that radio DJ yourself, or the BBC intro thing can really help you out, but other times you just need a bucket load of cash.
And what are the chances that Steve Lamacq wanders into your gig accidentally and then hears you and then plays you and then it all goes up, you know?
I know.
I mean, I'm sure, I know that's happened, but out of the thousands of radio shows that he's done and probably the millions of tracks that he's played, how many bands has that worked for?
I know.
You know, you can probably count it on one hand.
Like, it's so rare to get, I think they call it like free plays or something.
Right,
like getting free plays on radio is just like so rare. Like, we're kind of going into like the, don't really need to know this about the music industry talk, but it's just, it's just kind of, you really have to have the soul to do it, because you go into it and you realise that there actually is quite a lot against you most of the time. And so you have to go in like with your biceps ready.
Yeah.
Like just thinking, okay, I can do this. You know, I'm not going to give up. And really like celebrate the victories when they come along. Like really grab onto them. Don't just let them pass you by, because I've definitely fell into that trap.
Yeah.
Once or twice, really cool stuff's happened, and I'm like, yeah, what's next? You know, and
that's really funny. I've heard that a few times from people that have achieved some successes along the way, but you're too focused on the end goal or whatever it is, or you're not prepared to. Funnily enough, I was listening to a podcast today with a guy. The guest was a guy called Brendan Sharp, who's a former UFC fighter, NFL defenseman or something, who's now gone into podcasting and stand-up. And they're talking about all the different things he's done, and you know, I mean, he's had 4 separate careers right there, and he's selling out shows all over America, going to Australia and doing the same there, and he's, you know, I don't know, 30, 35 years old, but doing really well. And he was sort of saying, well, yeah, I know, it sounds really impressive when you say them all in a row. And before, he said, I've recently started talking to a therapist. He said, I'm never in the moment. I'm always ahead of myself.
yeah,
And he said, it's only now talking to a therapist about, you know, I think he was getting stressed out and stuff from being too busy. And apparently she was saying, you know, what are you doing right now? Because right now is like all you've got. Yeah, and nothing, the past, present is, the past has happened, is gone, is still there tomorrow. And the future hasn't happened yet. It's like, what are you doing right now? You need to enjoy the little things that you do, or the big things that you do, and it's okay to sit back and go, that was really cool.
yeah,
Instead of like, yeah, I've done it before. Oh, I can't believe this happened. Right, what's the next one? You know, who's the next guest, or what's the next? You know, and before you know it, it's gone.
yeah. Before you know it, it's like a year's passed.
Yeah,
And you're like, did I celebrate any of that?
yeah. It's important to. I mean, everyone that I talk to on this podcast, and they've all done interesting and amazing things, but most people say or think, are you sure you want me to come on? Am I doing interesting enough stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, of course you are. But because you're doing it every day, it's not as exciting as it was the first day.
Yeah.
So to somebody that's never done it before, it's so cool and amazing, and wow, that must feel incredible. But you don't feel like that. You don't feel like, wow, this is amazing. You feel like, that was good. Okay, I enjoyed that. What's the next one?
I think it's always really interesting as well with like the guests that you have on the show. Like everyone has a different insight. You know, so many of us are doing similar things, but
yeah, that is the interesting thing that I found actually. Different areas, you know, whether it's people that are running their own business or people that are musicians or artists, there's so many similarities. Everyone's having the same thoughts and worries, and you know, imposter syndrome is like everyone's got that. Whether you're, you know, doing everything or doing nothing, I think everyone feels like I'm going to get found out.
I also think it's really great to kind of like know people and be in situations like this, like with podcasts and whatever, where you like sit down with someone and you just speak about like the truth. Like, this is the truth of what's happening. Like, you know, I'm struggling with this, but then like this really cool thing happened, and then this not so cool thing happened. And I had a meeting with a girl called Alex who's doing like a next video. We were just like met up for a chat loosely about the video, but also about like each other in the pub. And
sorry, is that for the single coming out next week?
Yeah, we're filming that on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
But we were just sitting there, and we're both the same age. We're both kind of like 27, both doing creative stuff, and both feeling sometimes the wrath of that. You know, it's like, oh, this is where we want our lives to be, but we can't quite get there because of X, Y, and Z. And it was just so nice to just like talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
You know, and this really weird thing happens. Like, I don't know if it's happened to you, but people actually are incredibly selective with what they want to say and what they want to tell you.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I've tried to reach out to loads of different musicians and like have honest conversations and stuff, and people just aren't that comfortable with bearing like the truth. And I think that's like such an important thing for people to hear.
It is. You learn so much, don't you?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I spoke to the guy, Ross and Jeff, from another podcast called All My Friends Are Dead. It was 2 weeks ago. But that's what Ross was saying, you know, trying to be honest and trying to drop that guard of what will people think when I say this thing, or saying the thing that makes you look good, or if something was bad, saying it as if it wasn't quite so bad. Or good, not quite so good, because you don't want to sound like you're bragging. Even if you have to dampen down the truth. It's like, why? Just, you need to... I've gotten so much from listening to podcasts, and more often than not, it's people that have struggled and worked their way around it, you know, thought they weren't going to make it and did it. It's like, oh, okay, so it's not just me that's having a problem here. Everyone is like thinking, am I wasting my time? Or should I keep going?
God, that's a big fear for everybody, right?
And you never know. I mean, you never. If like you were saying, you don't celebrate the little victories along the way. At what point do you stop and go, well, it's been worth it now?
Yeah, I know.
It's tricky.
When I was having the chat with my friend, we were saying how, like, all it takes is, and it's so silly, but all it takes is like one person to email you and say, yeah, you've got that gig. And that completely puts you back on cloud nine again.
Yeah.
You know, because you spend so much of your time, I don't know if it's the same for you, but definitely my life is chasing people left, right and centre. Can I have this gig? What about this tour? I emailed you last week about this. And
I emailed you.
And yeah, you did email me. And we replied to each other very straight away.
Yeah.
It was very peaceful.
That's so good.
And it was lovely.
Not many people do that.
No, they don't.
It's so annoying.
They don't at all.
It's like when someone sends you an email and you reply straight away, and then they don't reply for ages. It's like, well, you're obviously sitting at your computer or whatever.
I know. I just like keep the pace up. I'm like, and like people, I get it, you know, whatever, they're busy, but
no, it's
you
not
know,
good enough.
When you spend like so much of your life chasing people, it just takes like one person, you know, like just to be like, I want to do that. And you think, oh, this is totally worth it.
Validation.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, we're so simple in some ways. Like, we just want
therapy
someone
would
to
have
go,
a field day over this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Therapists would love it.
Yeah, I feel like, yes, that's it. I mean, we can be doing what we want to do, and we are, you know, I am doing what I want to do, and you are doing what you want to. But yeah, we still. I agree. I have the same thing. You know, someone says, they'll do it. I'm like, oh, cool.
It makes your day.
Still relevant.
Yeah, you have a little spring in your step, and Mum's like, "Oh, you're in a good mood." I'm like, "Yeah, got that gig."
Yeah. Wow.
Strange people.
Yeah.
Interesting though.
That's it. I think you can really complicate things to an incredible degree. But in some instances like that, it's just really simple. It's just that we understand that transaction there.
Yeah.
Can I come and perform for you? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Brilliant.
I know.
Perfect. We both win. Hopefully they're happy as well.
Is that the day I put that like kind of like song lottery thing out, and you got back to me about this? I was really actually struggling knowing how to like reveal this new song that's coming out to the world. Really, I was trying to think of doing it in slightly different ways to what I've done before.
Yeah.
Like rather than just being like, you know, here's a song, here's a video, bam, here we go. I was like, okay, like how can we approach this from just something a bit different? So I sat there for an hour. I thought, okay, what about a lottery? Like, so I went out to my like mailing list and just said, I've got this song, it means a lot to me. I'm super sensitive about it. I'm terrified about you hearing it. But, you know, before the likes of the big bad boys at Spotify and Apple Music get it, why don't you get it?
Yeah.
You know, you listen to it. And I was overwhelmed with how many people got back and said, I want to hear your song, you know. And you spend so much of your time watching the Spotify numbers, you know, and have you been playlisted? Have you got this, that, and this? That simple, basic human interaction of someone just saying, I want to hear your song. You think, oh, this is it. You know, this is totally worth it. And I was so happy that day that I decided to reach out to just my email list, my subscribers.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you seen that before? Or
No, I'm trying to. I did.
I haven't.
I don't even know why I came up with the idea. Maybe I did hear it from somewhere. I'm not sure, but I mean, I just always find it just quite exciting. You know, if like my favourite artist did that to me, I'd be like, yes, I want that ticket. You know.
Yeah.
I went to see the Vaccines at the House of Vans a couple of months ago, and I only got given that ticket because I've been to the House of Vans to go skateboarding, so I'm like automatically on their email list kind of thing. And they came like, do you want to see the Vaccines like for free on a secret night of music? I was like, yeah. Like who doesn't want to be in on that, you know? So maybe it was like loosely something to do with things that I've done like that, but
that's great. So explain it for people that don't know what we're talking about.
So I've only actually published it once, but I'm going to do it again this weekend. So with the new song, I've got a new song coming out next Wednesday, the 6th of June, called Turn Away. And it's so painfully honest, from my opinion, of like some of the things that were happening in my life at the time. We can go into that. And I thought, you know, I'm actually really terrified about people hearing this because it's a slightly different style. It's not this like kind of like big bluesy riff, you know. It's not. I'm not kind of driving this at you.
Yeah.
I'm saying something really personal and important to you.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find a way to communicate that song in the purest way I could, and not just putting it straight onto Spotify and Apple because, you know, that's what releasing music is at the minute.
Yeah.
You know, that's the truth of it. And I thought, okay, how can I get this directly to the people that I really, really care about and the people that have been with me for many, many years? So basically, you just have to email me and tell me you want to hear. I'll be one of the first people to hear the song.
Right.
So I think it's on Monday. I'm going to do kind of like a Facebook Live. I'm just going to pull some names out of a hat, and they're going to get a secret stream of that track before it comes out on Wednesday. So they're just going to be the first people, like worldwide kind of thing, to hear it. And it's really cool because people from all over the world just reached out like, I want to be the first person in Pennsylvania to hear this song. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And I'm gonna publish it again once more, I think, on Sunday, just to kind of like remind people that they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, just you have to always think. So you have to think on your toes all the time, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to do anything different and to really kind of be a different voice, you know, because everyone makes music now, and that's the beauty of it, obviously, because there's so much music to be heard. But you know, it does make things a little bit harder to be seen. So yeah, it was just something I kind of come up with.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea. I think it sounds cool. it's really simple, because that's often if you're like sending off, if you've got contacting people on your email list, or send me an email address, and it can get complicated and convoluted, and like what people don't quite understand it, but it's very simple for you to manage it, and also for the people to enter, which is great. And yeah, I've not heard of that before. You might have.
I don't know.
You'll have to coin it.
I don't know.
Call it something.
Maybe I should quickly.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Well, this podcast is going to go out today.
Oh right, nice one.
So,
I love it.
So
push the people. Just email me.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the show notes.
Wicked.
But yeah, I don't envy you at all when it comes to promotion, because it's just like one massive grey area.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
Let's try this thing and see if this works.
I think that's the point, though. Like, nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. In life.
Yeah. It's another thing that life's doing to us. It's like, especially with music, like going back to how saturated it is and how many people are making it and how much the game is always changing.
Yeah.
The people like Spotify, all those giants, completely change the way music is released.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, so whose game are we playing now? Is it Spotify's game? Is it the label's game? Whose game is it? And then you just have to think, what if it was neither of their game? And everybody I meet and have this conversation with, we're all in the same boat. We all kind of don't know what we're doing. We're just trying to be as truthful to ourselves as possible.
Yeah.
And it's a minefield.
Yeah.
I never really quite feel like I get it right. Sometimes I feel like I'm close to getting it right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that didn't work. Maybe next time I'll try this. And it goes out and goes.
I think minefield is exactly the right word for it, because that's how you feel when you're like typing that status.
Yeah.
Sharing that link. Like,
perfect words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this right, or is this going to turn them against me?
Yeah.
It's something that really, you feel like rather than I've got this thing that I want to share that I think is cool, whether it's something I've created or something somebody else has done, or like, hey everyone, look at this, you might get something from it. That's nice.
Yeah.
People will either go cheers or no thanks. Whereas you think they're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Go away, unfollow, unlike. I hate you.
Some people do.
Some people do, but those sort of people you don't want anyway.
No, yeah, exactly.
But it really does feel like rather than feeling, okay, I've got the opportunity and potential here to increase my fan base or share something with people that are interested already and make them smile or whatever. Mm-hmm. You feel like it's not an opportunity there. You're actually taking a risk.
Yeah.
You're risking losing something rather than having the opportunity of gaining something or improving something. It's
a weird mentality to live in.
Yeah.
It's really, really strange.
And you're doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
Aren't you? Which is...
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to have ultimate control.
Yeah, I mean, so much of what I've achieved has come from like my own doing, which feels really good. So it's kind of it like feeds me to keep going.
Yep.
And I feel great about it. So yeah, I do kind of take responsibility for how far I've come, with the help of very like particular people along the way that have kind of guided me in good directions. But then there's also like a flip side to that as well, which is difficult because I kind of go into these things sometimes feeling like I've got so much to prove to everybody.
Yeah.
And like having that mental state isn't always the best one to have.
No.
Thinking, well, I need to prove them wrong, because people have your assumptions of you anyway, sometimes even before they've heard a song. And I have to battle with that every day, which very nicely goes into a plug for the new song.
Can I? I've got a horrible feeling that I've got really worried then that I didn't put my phone on airplane mode.
That's fine.
So if somebody rings me,
You've got random vibrations, it's fine.
Stops the recording.
How is it?
It's fine, I think. Yeah, that's
There you go.
yeah, it's a guy that's been on the podcast before.
Oh. The Happy Hood. Is that by Bethany? Or Beth?
Yes.
Oh.
It's Laura Graham. Do you know Laura Graham?
Did Beth illustrate it?
Yes.
Yeah, she did. Oh, she's great. I love Beth. She's doing some great stuff.
Yeah, Laura, a friend of mine, her and Paige did it. But yeah, that I don't know Beth,
Yeah.
but they said that she
She's doing some brilliant things, actually.
did it.
Yeah, she's great. I love Beth.
I don't think I've met her actually, but there'll be another. But I wrote a very brief article in that.
Oh, did you?
And they came on the podcast to. So this is all people that have. So this is Sharp Teeth Grinder.
Yeah.
Bobo came on from that band. This is lovely Charlotte Carpenter.
Yeah, there she is. There she is.
Sean Lowell, who wrote that book,
Yep.
came on the podcast, and I also produce his podcast as well.
Wow.
Happy Hood. That is, I've forgotten the name of it now, but it's like a good luck charm.
Yeah.
But a podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, started out being produced by the Death Squad Podcast Network, and that's their logo.
Right,
so it's
okay.
just like a little. That's a book that I got when I went to uni.
Nice.
Recommended to me by Nathan Wiseman Trouse,
yeah.
who's been on the podcast but unfortunately died a couple of months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be good to have that in there.
Yeah.
He was an awesome guy. Yeah, something on the background rather than just a plain white wall.
Yeah, it's nice.
I've got a few little trinkets and things that people have
Yeah, just chuck it all on there.
stopped by. Yeah,
It's lovely.
and there's underneath there. Oh, I'm gonna have to get it. Shauna Dancing, which is Ricky Gervais's band when he was young.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story about Ricky.
Have you?
Yeah, I'll tell you in a minute.
The first record I ever bought.
What is it?
It came free with smash hits.
Love it.
New Kids on the Block, 1990 medley.
Oh my god.
But it's a flexi disc, so it's really flimsy.
Whoa, it's a flexi disc.
Yeah.
I've never seen one
It's
of
just
these.
like acetate sort of.
But it plays.
Yeah. Probably doesn't last very long if you keep playing it all the time. But I remember it because it was transparent and it was, free with a magazine. So I tracked it down a few
Wow.
months ago.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that. And tracked it down a few months ago on Discogs. Have you been on Discogs?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Really good site. And bought one for like £2.50. But I thought it sort of shows you how valuable it is because the guy actually sent me 2 copies. He said you might as well have the other one as well. Like, it's so worthless.
But it means something to you.
But yeah.
But it means something to you.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I wonder whether my love for DJing or turntablism came from that very record.
I hope so.
Maybe. Or it was the Pinky and Perky records I had when I was a kid. Yeah. Anyway, your new single's coming out next week.
It is.
And I was very lucky to have a listen. About 20 minutes before we started recording this.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can understand. I mean, you said that you're really honest and you're sensitive about it.
I am, yeah.
I can understand that. You don't need to be, but then, I mean, you're going to be.
Yeah, it's just
the way it is, isn't it?
I feel like in the song I'm talking about a topic which a lot of people will resonate with.
Right.
I feel like they will. They might not because maybe not that many people will hear it, but I feel like the people that will hear it or might potentially hear it will be like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get what it is that you're saying.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one for me because when I was writing it, I was genuinely upset about why I was writing it. So it was one of those moments where I needed to just get something off my chest, and it was something that I was scared to get off my chest as well. I was going through this kind of period last year where I just really didn't like anything to do with men.
Right.
Like, I was just really, I'd taken on quite a bitter outlook towards some of the men in my life.
Right.
And I didn't feel comfortable with that, because I've never felt that way towards men. And it's because something just triggered me one day when I was spoken to in a way which I didn't like, and I had an email from someone that I didn't like. I had a gig.
You didn't like them or the email?
The tone of the email, that kind of thing.
Cool.
And then once I was kind of faced with this particular email one day, I was a bit like, how dare you speak to me like that? You know, and most of the time I don't moan, really. I'm not really a moaner. I just kind of like take stuff on my chin. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I actually voiced my concern over this email one day. And the guy I work with, Lee, he pointed out to me, he said, it makes me feel sad because they're speaking to you this way because they can't think you can do the job on your own.
Right.
I was basically having like a conversation with an agency, and they wouldn't consider me without a manager.
Right.
And the guy I work with just kind of said, well, why should you need one? Why can't you be good enough on your own? Why do you need, for example, a male manager to represent you?
Yeah.
You know? And this happened to me, and I felt automatically uncomfortable, because I felt like this conversation that had happened over the email just kind of reaffirmed a few things to me that I was wondering about myself. Like, is there only so far I can go because I'm a woman doing this on their own? And I've never been faced with that thought. I've always been like, I can do anything, you know, and I still believe I can. But in that moment, I kind of had a couple of months of questioning if I could. And when that happened to me, a few other things were happening around me, and I could just see myself in positions in the years gone by where I didn't stick up for myself like I should have. And I let men talk to me in a particular way. I let them say things to me in a particular way, because I felt like I had to be liked and I had to be polite.
Yeah.
And that sat with me for such a long time, and I was so uncomfortable with realising that. And I do feel like it's just one massive learning curve. You know, when I was a lot younger, I did feel like I had to please people.
Yeah.
So, you know, you do kind of bow down to what some people might suggest to you, even though you might not feel comfortable with it, and just stuff like that. So I was kind of sitting with all of this for a long time, and I was beginning to get really defensive and just really, like I said, bitter. Like, men would say things to me and I just didn't like it. You know, I thought, who are you to say that to me?
Yeah.
And in some ways, I was absolutely right to think that way. But then other ways, you know, male or female, maybe I should have listened to that, you know. So it was just a really confusing time for me, because I was reminded of my self-worth, which is massively what the chorus of Turn Away is about. Like, turn away your gun because I'm not your aim.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like men can often take out their insecurities on another woman.
Right.
And that especially happens in scenarios like when you're at a gig and the sound engineer isn't very nice to you because you're a woman and you can play the guitar. And I walked off stage one day last year as well, which was another trigger. This man just said to me, "Oh, you play the guitar really good for a girl." And I was like,
sorry, I know it's not funny, but it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And it like really, like, he said that to me at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I mean, there's never a right time. No.
But especially at that time in my life, I was like, oh my God, are you? And
what?
it was just, and like, just loads of little tiny things were happening, and I was really angry. But I wasn't just angry; I was really upset because some of the men that I have in my life, I love more than anyone. You know, I think they're beautiful people, and they've always encouraged me and always supported me. But for a couple of months, I just thought I'd happily never see any of you ever again. So I started penning Turn Away, and the verses are a little bit more like upfront about the situation, and they're a little bit more about, sometimes I feel like I'm pleasing other people rather than pleasing myself. And there's a really key line in the song that says, "It's not hard being me, it's hard being a woman, see, without a favour in her hand." And that is just the state of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard being me because I've got a great life.
Yeah.
You know, I really celebrate my life. But if I ever don't celebrate my life, it's because I've not really got anyone giving me that favour, which I feel like sometimes is holding me back from certain things.
Yeah.
But then kind of the chorus is a bit more euphoric, and it's a bit more like, actually, I can sit here and analyse this situation as much as I can, but this might be your problem. This might not be anything to do with me.
Yeah.
You're just choosing to take that out on me today.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a hard one to kind of neatly tie up in a bow, this song, because there's so many different things that made me write the song. But one thing that I have come to realise is that it's my unapologetic reminder of self-worth.
Yeah.
Like, no matter who speaks to you, no matter who thinks they can undermine you or control you, don't ever let them do that again.
Yeah.
Like, you're 27 now.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to be likeable all the time.
Yeah.
You can mess stuff up.
Yeah.
Like, you can say, no, that's not cool. Don't say
Yeah.
that to me.
Yeah, and that's not messing stuff up, is it? That's being
No,
honest.
yeah. And that's not even completely a gender thing either. That's like anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody can be undermined, and it's horrible.
That's what I don't understand about people that say things like that, like you play guitar.
Oh, you play a really good guitar for a girl.
Yeah. Like, I mean, what? I'm just trying to work it out.
What does that mean?
Yeah. What does that mean? And so there's a threshold, is there? And
Yeah.
you exceed that.
Yeah.
So how much have you thought about this?
Yeah, I
And
know.
have you really thought? Okay, it's like if you break it down. Okay, so what is it about women that makes them not? What do you think it is about women that makes them not able to be as good?
Yeah.
As like, how ridiculous is that?
I know. It's like, I feel like people that say that are not listening.
Yeah.
They're not listening to women.
They've already
Like,
made their mind up.
Yeah,
They
like-
see a woman and they think, well, not going to be as good as a bloke.
One of the best guitarists in the world is Bonnie Raitt. She's like one of the best slide guitarists ever. And it's amazing because people don't say, she's a great female guitarist. She is just a great guitarist.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
the truth. And one of the really frustrating things about that sentence is that someone once said it to me and I took it as a compliment, but I was younger.
Yeah.
So I was younger and I was like, oh, well, that's cool because, I'm seen as like one of the guys and that's cool. And
Right.
a couple of years have gone on now and I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really turning into kind of the woman I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa, that makes me angry.
Well, it's confidence, isn't it? I think, and that does come with age and experience. I think for some people seem to just have it or whatever. But yeah, I think that the older I've got, the more confident I've got, and the more I'm prepared to correct somebody if they've said something that I
Yeah.
don't think is right.
It's scary to correct somebody.
Yeah.
Really scary.
Because I don't like confrontation.
Me neither.
Well, maybe it's confrontation. Yeah, maybe it's confrontation. Or I don't want to make somebody else feel bad. So you feel like correcting them is going to make them feel bad. Even if you're right,
Yeah.
I think, well, shall I just leave it? I don't agree. I think that's stupid, but I'll just let it go.
Yeah.
Or do I want to have this conversation where they might get angry or upset?
Yeah.
But
Because are you like, should you let it go and rise above it?
yeah.
Or should you challenge them
Yeah.
and teach them something?
And that's also rising above it, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's the
Yeah.
harder thing to do.
It
I think
is.
arguably it's easier to ignore it. But
It is.
then they'll say it again to somebody else.
Yeah.
They don't know they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So that's also a difficult thing, isn't it? Sometimes I feel like, well, why should I be the one to teach somebody? Why is it my responsibility to tell somebody how not to be stupid?
I know. And like,
But someone's got to do it.
one of the things as well that kind of like I am uncomfortable talking about is the fact that I can see times across my life where a man has taken advantage of me,
Right.
and like not in a physical way, but emotionally, and I can see myself as a young woman not sticking up for myself,
Yeah.
and it just pains me to think of that moment and think, I can't believe you you did that, you know, and it's painful to look back. And I think that's why Turn Away is such a painful song. I just think, oh, you could have been, you know, it's like, I learnt my lesson. And like the first time I ever stuck up for myself, it was uncomfortable, but I'm glad I did it because I knew I was right.
Yeah.
Oh.
You did the morally right thing, but you should be proud of yourself because it's hard. It's not.
Yeah.
I often don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if somebody's doing something I disagree with, quite often I won't say anything.
Yeah.
You know, probably I should probably say something, but you know, for whatever reason, weakness or I don't know, whatever it is. But you know, I would imagine doing what you do, you come across that more often than I come across whatever I'm coming across. So if you were to be sort of alert and unlike on the look at, you know, you'd just be fucking saying it all day.
I know.
So you can't.
It's really hard as well because I don't want to make this song about like man hating because it's not about that. You know, it's more about my personal journey with how I combat these things that can happen to women and especially musicians. And so I'm scared about that because I'm scared about how I explain it to people and then scared about how they're going to view me. But that's like the point of the song. Like I have to like not think about that. You know, I have to think about about what's going on in your life. Think about yourself. It's really difficult, and I don't want to just say like all men are the same because they're absolutely not. You know, they're beautiful, beautiful people. And like I said, like my bandmates, my producer, they're all beautiful, and I love them. And then one man sometimes will just let it down. Yeah, and it's like The other day I had this horrible thing happen where I had a couple of drinks. I was a bit more angry anyway. But I went out with my sister for some wine and I took this photo of myself, like, and I wasn't wearing anything too dissimilar to this really. It was like all pretty dark colours. Yeah. And someone just tweeted me and just said, like, why don't you ever wear like orange, yellow and pink, all right? And I thought, how dare you? You know, and I was like,
what a weird comment.
I was like I was then on my high horse though, and me and my sister were like ranting in the pub, like, how dare they say this? And it's difficult 'cause do you put that person right or do you ignore it? And as a female musician, how do you tackle that? Like, do you try and explain to them how that offended me, or do you completely ignore the tweet? Like, what do you do? Like, because either one of those is going to make you appear into two different things. And which one do you want to come across as? And there's some of the things which I feel like are against us. We always have to think, okay, so how is this going to make us look? And I really want to like stop that. Yeah. I really want to stop that.
That's really interesting. That is. Because I quite often, somebody says something, I don't know, racist or sexist or stupid or whatever, something that I quite often will ignore it or dismiss it because I think, well, clearly that's wrong. That makes no sense. That's not logical. I can't have a logical argument with somebody who isn't using logic. And, you know,
that's a good point.
What? So it's not even real. It's like that's just a mate. You know, you don't go away. Yeah, you're nothing. Or that comment's nothing.
I think the only thing, like, because I did reply to the guy. I did get my bit in. Yeah. And the only reason I did it was because I wanted to stop him from thinking he had the right of saying that to other women. And that's how I had to think about it. I was like, you know, you might lose him as a fan. You know, this might upset him. Yeah. But actually, nobody, especially the people on social media, should ever think they have the right to comment on someone the way he did.
How did that go?
He completely apologised. He just said, I'm sorry for my ignorance and I'm really sorry I offended you. And I was like, all right, okay.
That's brilliant.
I know. I felt like I was in a situation with him where Like, I know he'd been a fan of mine for a really long time, so I was kind of like treading on eggshells a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of
pissed up. You wanted to fight.
Yeah, had about 5 glasses of wine. It was a really hot day. I was with my sister, so it was already like girl power, and you know. but I overcame it, and I felt better for it, even though it like really annoyed me in the moment. And I knew that by putting myself out there and saying, "That's not cool. Don't say that to me." You know, I thought, this is a risk, but you know, it worked because I do actually feel like he listened.
That's great. I mean, obviously, it would have been better if it didn't happen in the first place.
Yeah.
However, that's the perfect outcome.
Yeah,
it's someone saying something stupid that they perhaps didn't realise was stupid, being told that that was, you know, incorrect or insensitive, and them going, "Yeah, you're right. Thanks for that."
Yeah.
That's it. This is
that's
learning.
It.
This is
great.
Process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's all about.
And he's got something out of it.
Yeah.
You have as well.
Yeah.
And other people will have seen that.
Yeah.
And that is how discussions or arguments should go.
It is. And I'm so glad that women and people are just genuinely feeling like they can discuss it now. Because I've never... If someone tweeted me that like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said what I said.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much happening, like positively, around people talking about things now, that it gives you confidence because you feel like you're backed up in some way.
Yeah.
You know, like I've got the confidence to do this now.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best things about the way in which the world is going, really.
Yes.
It doesn't always work.
No.
But yeah. But again, it takes me back to kind of really knowing what they're doing anyway. It's very difficult.
Yes. Yeah. I think
it's tiring.
Yeah.
To not completely know. How should I approach that?
And yeah, I mean, I will often shy away from talking about subjects that I don't know about.
Taboo, yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's a clever thing, though. As well.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think it is actually, because how am I going to learn about these things if I don't talk about them?
Yeah,
you know,
it's true. Is that like a confidence thing?
Yeah,
is that like can't really talk about that because I don't have enough to back up?
Yeah, I might say something.
I'm a bit like that as well.
I might use the wrong term.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to get into it with whoever. So if I just don't talk about it, then I can't be wrong. Yeah. You know, which is it's one way to deal with it, but probably not the best way.
Again, that will encourage you to do some reading.
Yeah, true.
I guess like my partner, she's a whiz basically.
Whiz.
She's just like this woman whiz who like knows so much that I don't know.
Okay.
And so I always look to her for stuff like, so what does this mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, why is this happening? And she's great for that. You know, she's so like culturally in the know. Okay. She's great. And she just knows things that I just don't know because, you know, like I'm consumed in the music and the industry and, you know, how should I market this, that, whatever. But she's just so... like, I don't know what the word is, but she just knows so much stuff. So yeah, she's like my go-to of how can I approach this, please? Right. Like, how can I, is this too much? Is this kind of thing?
Yeah.
But if she had her way, she'd have me just like shout at every man that ever hurt me, which is great. It's great to have kind of have someone on my side like that. But you have to, when you come across something you don't really know what to do, you've got to read up on it. Like, people know so much stuff now.
Yeah, and it's all there. All the information's there. It's not like you've got to go to the library and see if they've got the book. It's like you've got to just type it into Google and there's your answer. You know, it's literally at your fingertips.
I went to the library recently.
Yeah?
For the first time in like, you know...
You got a library card?
10 years. I went and got one in the hope that they'd be able to give me what I wanted. And it turns out they just didn't. So then I ended up going to Amazon anyway. And it just like made me a bit sad because I felt like I was doing the right thing because the local library is closing down. And I was like, I'll go and, you know, do my bit. So I went in, asking for the Harry Potter audiobooks because
Okay.
they're like my jam right now on long
Yeah.
journeys.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
like, I love Potter. I can't believe it's taken me this long to love him.
Okay.
I think like JK is a queen right now.
Right, okay.
So I went in like, yeah, I'm really enjoying Harry Potter. Like, I want this audiobook. I drive around all the time and I'm fed up of listening to music. I
Yeah.
need something else. And she was like, oh no, you can't do that. I was like, what? Really? And she was like, yeah, well, you can download this app. So they have this now, like this app where you can get books on the app, a bit like a Kindle.
Right.
And I was like, well, this is like the future of libraries, like, you know, save the libraries. But then it turns out that only so many people can have that book at a time. So we are technically still on a
Yeah.
waiting list. And I was like, that's kind of defies the point of
Yeah.
having an app.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I felt bad because I went and downloaded them all. So yeah,
But what are you going to do if you want the audiobook and they haven't got it?
I know.
They need to modernise, I think.
Slightly off
unfortunately.
topic, but Harry
No,
Potter
that's
is
fine. Well,
great.
The library in Kingsthorpe where I grew up, that's closing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like petitions and queues outside on, you know,
Is it all like the slightly older people that are petitioning?
I don't know.
It is where I'm from, and it's kind of sad. Like, they're the people that care the most about it.
The thing is, are libraries needed?
There's a person inside of me which like wants to keep the libraries because
I want somewhere to go that's
If-
quiet.
yeah,
I mean, how many quiet places exist anywhere now other than libraries?
that's such a good
It's
point.
like nowhere, no shop, no nothing. Maybe a funeral.
Toilets aren't even that quiet anymore.
No, exactly. It's not like the old days.
I had my ears cleaned out a couple of weeks ago. I had I've got some ear molds made,
Right.
and I had to go and get my ears cleaned out before my ear molds. Blah blah blah. I've got really
For
small.
on stage.
Yeah.
Monitors, are they, or earplugs?
There eventually will be for on stage monitors.
Oh, cool.
But I'm
Okay.
like easing myself into it.
Yeah.
So I went in. I've got tiny, like freakishly baby ears. Like they're just so small.
They're fine.
They're so small. So I went in, got it done, and they said, "Oh, we need to clean your ears." I was like, "Yeah, okay." Cleaned it out, and I could not believe the difference. Like I was horrified. So then I was in like the centre of London at the time, and I went to somewhere for lunch, and the toilet was just playing like the loudest music. But because I'd had my ears cleaned out, it was
Yeah.
even more louder.
Yeah.
Have you ever had your ears cleaned out?
No.
You should. I recommend.
Doesn't sound good.
Well,
It sounds net loud.
it was a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't know if it's just because my ear canals are so small.
Okay.
But I think like any musician, just go get it cleaned out and just
Yeah.
see how freakishly better everything is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get onto that? Libraries.
Hmm.
Quiet places. Yeah, libraries. I think it would be a shame for libraries to close. However, I haven't needed a library for about 15 years.
No, me neither.
And what services do they provide that I can't be without? You know, books. I'm good for books.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon and other places. You know,
Yeah.
quite often I'll buy books on eBay or second-hand books and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, audiobooks. Just get them Audible or whatever. What
Audible
else?
is so great. I
Yeah,
love
it's brilliant,
Audible.
isn't it? You know, I listened to James Haskell, who I had on the podcast. He said Sherlock Holmes, the entire collection, is an audiobook read by Stephen Fry.
He does Harry Potter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
Anything
he could read
with
the dictionary
Stephen.
and it'd be fun. But I'm not a Sherlock Holmes fan, other than the latest films that have come out. I think they're quite cool.
Yeah.
But I thought, let's give it a go. I had a free credit on my Audible account.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about 70 hours because it's the entire.
Yeah.
You know, but it's brilliant. He does use the word ejaculate quite a lot.
Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
In what way?
He ejaculated out of the room, as in like he forcefully
He
left
leaves
the room.
the room.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that could be used
Neither
in
did
any
I
other context.
until I heard it about 10 times.
He ejaculates
Maybe we
out
should
of the
bring
room.
back ejaculate as just like a common word.
Maybe you should try and see
Yeah.
how you get on with that.
Okay. Yeah, just drop it into conversation. But no, other than that, really good book. Still working my way through it. But yeah, audiobooks, great when you don't want to listen to music.
Oh, yeah. I feel like musicians need a break from music. This makes sense.
And I quite often get just like businessy books or something, or,
yeah.
you know, whatever, self-improvement books or whatever.
Yeah,
Audiobook, it's brilliant. I mean, you can, and when they're like 6 hours,
Yeah.
so I can do that in 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
Just like walking, brilliant. I could never read a book. I just don't.
I'm a bit
read
rubbish
books.
at reading
Yeah.
books.
I'm excellent at starting books.
Yeah, me too.
Lots of started books.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like be a different person this week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a jog and then I'm gonna read a book. No,
No.
it doesn't last ever.
No, Netflix and Cocoa Pops.
Yeah, before I know it, I'm like eating a chocolate eclair, watching Netflix.
How did this happen?
Or 2 chocolate eclairs, you know.
Well, you have to finish the pack, don't you?
I can't remember how we got onto the topic of
No.
libraries, but yes,
Libraries, yeah.
and books. I love it. I love it all.
Yeah. How did we get onto libraries?
I can't even remember. I know there was like the turn away talk.
You went to your library. You got a library card. We'll never know.
I can't remember how we
We'll
got
never
there,
know.
but it was
No.
an interesting hole to fall
Okay.
into.
Well, I think we're it's probably over an hour now. It's flown by. As usual.
I know. There might be some stuff people will not want to hear, like my ears and
It's
my love
fine.
for Harry Potter.
No. It all, it's all part of the Charlotte pie. It's all valuable
Charlotte
stuff.
pie. I like that.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, single coming out on the 6th.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
yes.
lottery you're
The
doing
lottery,
on Monday.
yeah, lottery. I'm going to remind people that they can do on Monday, but if anyone wants to hear the track first, you just have to email cc@charlottecarpentermusic.com and just be like, I want to hear your song. And then you automatically get put through, and then on Monday I'm going to take some people out of a hat and send you the track.
And you're going to live stream that?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
That's
I'm going to
cool.
like have a hat,
Yeah.
have the names.
What time?
Don't know, what time do I finish work? I finish work at 6 on Monday, so it's probably going to be about 7:30 at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll put those instructions and stuff in the show notes. But yeah, it's been cool to see what you've been up to over the last year and a half.
Yeah, just, when you sit back and you think, what have you been doing for 18 months? And I've just been touring, I guess, like anywhere that will have me.
You've just been being a performing musician.
I guess that's what you'd call it,
Yeah.
That's right.
You've been doing it.
I'm glad you call me it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's what it is. What's the difference between? I mean, I don't know where you want to be or what your goals are, but I would imagine it's being a full-time singer, songwriter, and that is your living, and that is so.
Yeah.
The difference between where you are now and that is small, I would argue.
Yeah.
The only difference is not having the cafe job and maybe making a bit more money from playing gigs. It's like that's a small distance from where you are now.
I guess
Although
it is
you
small.
may feel it's quite far away.
It does feel like quite a big leap, but I imagine, you're probably right.
Yeah.
It probably is quite a small step in the grand scheme of things, but
I think you should be proud.
thank you.
You should. Your music's excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. And it's we'll have you back again in 18 months, and
Yeah, and then we
tell
can
me
just
how
keep
the
us.
stadium
Maybe
tour
we should
went.
just like keep going it every 18 months.
Yeah,
I'll come
just
back
check
and be
back in.
like, did this, did that, or I've got a baby now,
Yeah.
which is not going to happen anytime soon. So
Okay, that's fine. Well, you'll be too busy playing gigs 360 days a year.
yeah,
At
that's
that
it.
point.
That's the dream.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you very much.
No, thank you. I've loved it.
Sweet. So there it was, the Josh Astrop podcast, episode number 120 with Charlotte Carpenter. What a fascinating person. Really love talking to Charlotte. she's so honest and insightful. I really like talking to songwriters because they have such a great understanding of their emotions and how to express them, which I think must be. I didn't really talk about this with Charlotte, but I think I should have. It must be a really good skill to have, or a good tool in the toolbox, to be able to think about what you're feeling. I don't know about you, but if there's something that's stressing me out or that's upsetting me, I'll try not to think about it, which in hindsight is not the way to go, because it doesn't stop the problem. It doesn't find the root of the problem, and you're not able to analyze it and understand it. You're just ignoring it and hoping it doesn't pop up again, which inevitably it will. So Charlotte's ability to think about what she's feeling, understand it, and then write and express that to somebody else is really impressive. That must be such a great skill to have. And that's cathartic as well. So I imagine she would be, as she's writing, she'll be working it out as well. Thinking about these emotions, why they're happening, who's triggering it, what's going on, and how do you go from there. That's a process I think we could all benefit from, even if you're not, a musician or you're intending on writing songs. But just to think about what's going on in your head, and specifically be able to explain it in a way that other people can understand that is really interesting. That is probably like a lot of types of therapy, I would imagine. So yeah, she's not only producing excellent music, she's gaining a better understanding of a mental state in the process. So that's a great skill to have. Anyway, she's got a new single coming out. I'll put the links in the show notes. Follow her, like her on the social media channels. And if you get the chance to catch one of her shows, do it. I can't stress that enough. You will not be disappointed. Right, okay, that's it. Find us everywhere. Just look for the Josh Astrop podcast. Podcast is available on iTunes, on Acast, on Stitcher, and the video version is also available on YouTube. We are on Facebook and Instagram. That's it. This has been the Josh Astrop podcast, episode number 120 with Charlotte Carpenter. I have been Josh Astrop. We will see you next Wednesday.